Welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios. I'm Craig.
And I'm Connor.
And today we have another deep dive for you. We are going over the Hormagaunts, the Termagants, and the Gargoyles, the swarm aspect of the Tyranid Codex. If you look forward to deep dives like this and want to see videos from the Tyranids or other codexes, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content from us. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So in today's video, we are going over very standard overview. We will cover the profiles of the Termagants, or Gaunts. I will say Termagants, but it is Termagants technically.
In the future, we may jokingly say Termagants.
I mean, that is technically how it is.
Yeah.
But Termagants, Hormagaunts, Gargoyles, and then we'll go over a little bit on the adaptive physiologies and stratagems with them. There's not a ton, but some stuff to consider. We'll go over tactics for all of them. They all have a few different playstyles you can use. And in the end, we'll wrap it up with the conclusion. So let's get right into the Termagants.
Sure. So this is the profile for all of them. Besides movement, they are all the same?
Yes.
Right? Attacks on
yeah.
Hormagaunts?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Hormagaunts are 2 attacks. But
Hormagaunts are 2 attacks, but besides that, it is the same for all 3. So Termagants have a 6-inch movement. Pretty average, can't complain about it. And the same for all of this is weapon skill 4+, ballistic skill 4+, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, leadership 5. You never really think about the leadership on.
Hopefully you don't have to use it with synapse being a thing, but.
And a 6+ save.
Yep.
It's your little guys. They're not tough at all.
Nope.
But that's what their stats are.
Safety in numbers, kind of.
So, weapons for Termagants. Do you want to maybe start us off with?
Yeah, so there are technically 3 weapons, but really we ignore the Spine Fist because unless you guys use Spine Fist, let me know. I've never seen them used at all, any effective, but
I would be very interested to hear your reasoning, not even being sarcastic. Genuinely curious.
It'd be interesting to hear. So the main 2, we got basic flesh borers. They are 12-inch range, assault 1, strength 4, no AP, 1 damage. Then if you want to upgrade, you'll often hear these as more veteran people in the community will say Gaunts is a Termagant with a Devourer. They are 18-inch range, assault 3, strength 4, and 1 damage. So you pay 2 extra points per model to get 2 extra shots, 6-inch range, and that's about it.
2 extra points is not too bad.
No, so that was changed in the most recent FAQ for the Tyranids.
Oh,
it used to be 4 points.
Whoa.
So they were at 4 points? Yeah, 4 points. So they were 9 points a model, and now they're 7 points a model. So they're the same price as a Gargoyle.
Much better.
Much better, yeah. Absolutely. So there is nothing else. I guess we can talk their Hail of Living Ammunition. If this unit contains 20 or models, you can re-roll wound rolls of 1 when this unit shoots.
Right.
Which is good. You might not get too many times where that comes into play.
I feel like competitively right now, this is before the Tyranids have had their 9th edition.
Yep.
You don't see a lot of 30-man squads.
You will see some.
Not a lot.
Often, people will bring a 30-man block, if any, and then probably just 1, unless you want to go for the full carpet of Gaunts. But
yeah. I feel like maybe we should also mention how you run a Gaunt squad.
We'll go into that. We got tactics for each of them, so
gotcha.
we'll touch on those. This is just the profile.
Okay.
We can quickly brush through the Hormagaunt. So, like Connor said, the main thing that changes is the movement. These guys move 8 inches instead of 2 or 6 inches.
Yeah.
They do gain an extra attack.
Yeah.
However, their sighting talents are strength users, so they only strength 3. You get to reroll failed hit rolls of 1 with this weapon, and ignore the additional attack because they only have 1 pair of scything talons, so it's just 2 attacks. You can give them toxin sacs and adrenal glands like the last one. You can give them adrenal glands and you can give them toxin sacs, but it makes these Gaunts very expensive for what they're doing.
Probably too expensive in most cases?
I think too expensive in just about every case, unless you were really tailoring into making your Hormagaunts your combat threats, but I would stay away from them.
Or if you want to have a really expensive, if you want that for some reason, you can do it.
The idea, it's tough. the best way to make toxin sacks work is you play Gorgon, and then you can make their toxin sacks go off on 5s and 6s with a stratagem. So now you got a unit of 30 Gaunts, which could be theoretically 60 attacks that theoretically could do damage to.
You're really teching in there.
Yeah,
though.
it's not.
You're really teching in.
Stay away from it. So they've got 2 special rules. They've got Bounding Leap, so they can consolidate 6 inches, which is big.
Probably their best.
Probably,
attribute.
yep. Yeah. And then the Hungering Swarm, they get to reroll failed wound rules of 1 when there are 20 more of them in a model, or in a unit.
Yeah.
Both good things.
Yeah.
And now we have the flying ones, the Gargoyles.
Yeah.
You want to go for it?
For sure. So they have the exact same stat line as a Termagant. Besides, they move 12 instead of 6.
Yep.
And they have the same ability there, right? If it's a big group.
The living ammunition, yes, that is the same exact thing.
So they reroll wound rolls of 1 if there's 20 or more when they're shooting.
Yep.
And then they get 1 extra rule because they have wings.
Yes.
Swooping Assault essentially lets you deep strike.
Yes, so it lets you deep strike with a Harridan, which is the big Titan. Yes.
I didn't read enough into it. Gotcha. So
I
they're
will
not
explain
inside
it.
of a Harridan.
So it's it threw me off there because I haven't actually read that rule word for word in a while.
You also don't use them much.
I also don't use Gargoyle as much as I'd like to. No. But so this Swooping Assault is just a deep strike reserve fancy thing. Okay. It says Harridan because, like, imagine the Harridans flying and they're deep striking in.
Oh, that's a fluff part of the rule?
That's a fluff part of the rule. However, a Harridan can actually carry 20 Gargoyles as a transport.
I've never seen a deep strike rule include something like that.
Normally it's like, it's like the teleport home or things like that. But the fact that it confuses, for me, it just confused me. The Harridan is actually a rule on another data sheet. And that's why I don't like these rules. I just wish it said deep strike or something. Yeah. I know it's not as fluffy, but it's a lot easier to deal with.
For some reason that confused me more than other.
It threw me off. I've known this book for forever, and that little bit threw me off.
So essentially, it's a Termagant that moves more. I guess we should say the weapons too.
It does have Blinding Venom, which is their own unique little thing. Yeah. It's just saying in melee, if a unit suffers an unsaved wound from a Gargoyle in close combat, subtract 1 from the hit rolls for that unit until the end of the turn.
You could probably do some fancy stuff with that if you're smart.
If you're going up against an army that has low weapon skill to begin with, like Guard and even Orcs will suffer from this, because a Gargoyle can kill an Orc. It's hard for it, but because an Orc doesn't have a great save, a Gargoyle can kill an Orc.
Oh yeah.
Just pretty much anything but Space Marines, unfortunately. Even AdMech, well, I guess AdMech are now into 3-up weapon skill, but...
They can still suffer, though, if they're using the...
They can.
What's it called? The
Skitarii?
Yeah, the buff things, you know what I mean?
Oh, the +1, yeah.
You never know.
You never know. So, it is good to point out, the Blinding Venom has its places. I think Guardsmen are the best place for it.
Totally.
But you can't pretend you're going to play Guardsmen every time.
No, absolutely not.
But if you do, it's something.
So basically... They don't get the other guns, they just have the flesh bore, and they're flying Termagants.
If you could give them Devours, that would be awesome.
Well, might be too strong.
Maybe. So now we go over some adaptive physiologies and stratagems. So adaptive physiologies, there's only 2 I would, consider taking. Adrenal Limbs gives them 2d6-inch consolidate. So you could give it ideally on your Hormagaunts, maybe your Gargoyles. And now on Hormagaunts, you have to toy with, it's a flat 6 or 2d6. On average, you roll 1 better than the flat 6. But the potential to go 7+ inches in the direction towards the nearest allows you to tie up more and more targets with them.
Yeah. So there are specific uses
for it. They're specific. Dynamic Camouflage. This one I would only use on Termagants, specifically 1 big blob, if you pair it with Jormungandr. And if you see a battle report, maybe I'll remember to put it here or there. I can't remember. I think it's Connor's head.
Okay.
I should remember that. I use this against Sam's Imperial Guard. I put it on a 30-man block, and now the Termagants in the open had a 4-up armor save.
Ooh.
With cover, because Jormungandr gives you cover as if if you were in the open.
So that goes you to 5 up, and then this
dynamic
gives you 4 up.
camouflage gives you 4 up.
So use it on a big squad.
Big block of Termagants if you're playing Jormungandr. It's not a bad... Now, you're probably going to have other things that it's better to be used on, but it's an option if you're looking to spice some things up. 4+ armor save Termagants, if they don't have the right guns, can really throw someone off guard.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you don't have enough small range fire.
Small. Well, that was the problem with Sam, is that he had a lot of small arms fire.
With guard.
But there's no AP.
Right.
It was all AP 0 and maybe AP 1. So the 4-up save...
You save half of them.
You save half of them. It goes a long way.
Huh. And so those are both of those are not specific to Gaunts.
They're infantry specific, yep.
I didn't even really realize there was infantry specific.
Infantry and monster, yep.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, that's if you could put that on like a monster, that'd
I was
be
going to
crazy.
say, that's too much. That's too much.
So then there are a couple stratagems. Single-minded annihilation is the 2 CP, shoot again. You'd really probably want to use this on your Devil Guns. If they just popped in from reserve, you know, you're probably going to have 60 shots or so with the Devourers, and then you can do that, turn that into 120 shots. For 2 CP, it's got potential.
The stratagem is often seen on Hive Guard, if you're not familiar.
Yes.
Yeah, just go watch any of our other battle reports.
Any battle report of mine, or Tyranids, or anything, you see Hive Guard using this. Adrenaline Surge is just the 3 CP fight again, very Tyranid basic.
If you have a 30-man squad of Hormagaunts and you really need to kill something.
Just gotta kill something,
use it. We got another one called Scorched Bugs for 1 command point. Gives you +1 to wound. TGs and
with
Gs.
Termagants and Gargoyles.
So
the things that have the flesh borers.
Okay.
So +1 to wound in the shooting phase.
It's cool. So they're like adding heat to their living ammo, basically. Okay. Then we have Enemy Below for 1 command points. It's a Jormungandr rule.
That's the one that allows you to deep strike infantry with Raveners and Trigons and Molochs.
Cool.
So, potential.
And then, what is this last one you have here?
So, if you are not playing matched play, Endless Swarm is one of the most powerful stratagems in the game, in all of 40k.
If you're not playing match play.
So, in matched play, you have to pay reserve points to use the stratagem. So, that's where if a Gaunt squad dies, you pay the command points and they come back.
Yeah.
The whole squad comes back.
Yeah.
In match play, you would have to have points set aside for that squad to come back.
Yeah.
In non-matched play, you don't have to do that. In open play, you don't have to do that. So in Crusade or open play are the only 2 options. You just get Gaunts coming back and back and back.
Like when squads die.
Yes.
Whoa.
And you have to pay the points for it.
Well, that has been a thing that was in old editions too.
Endless Swarm was
like
that was an old thing. In 7th edition, it was a formation, and you could bring. It was one of my favorite ones. You had to bring 3 squads of each Termagant and Hormagaunt, and then when they died on a 4+, that unit came back for free, and it had to come back through reserve, which means it either walked on the table, or if you brought Trigons, they popped up through their tunnels, because the Trigon tunnels stayed on the table.
That's why I remember that, because it was insane.
It was a fun one.
Yeah. That's crazy.
There's a battle report somewhere on YouTube. If anyone can find it, I'll give them props of me using that at Mini Wargaming against an old
Who were you fighting?
I was fighting Leland, if anyone remembers him.
Wow, I'm sure someone out there
I'm out there using that, and I kind of kick his sister's butt. And I kind of felt bad about it.
Nah.
But then he kicked my butt in the Zelmo Coliseum, which was awesome.
Yeah, he's a good player. He'll be fine. He'll be all right.
So now we'll go over tactics. Each one typically has 3-ish play styles. So we'll go over the Termagants first. Simple thing, 10-man cheap units. They can screen off things like your Hive Guard or any of your big bugs you don't want to get tagged from combat.
Totally.
They can hold objectives and they can do actions.
Kind of almost like a perfect 9th edition unit in that way if you run them like
for
this.
50 points, it's great.
Yeah.
Yep. You can play them as the big hordes, 20 to 30 models, one big mass to sit on a key middle objective. They got to chew through all of them in order to get off that objective secured. Optional support, I think, is fun but not competitive, is supporting with a Termagant. So if they don't kill more than 10 a turn, they're basically doing nothing to the squad.
Because it
respawns 10 for free, not reserve points. 10 for free, it respawns into a squad.
That feels like 5th edition
That's the good
Termagants
stuff.
again, you know?
So, yeah, if you kill 11 Termagants,
Yeah.
then you
actually
really
killed
killed
one.
one. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Pair that with your super durable 4-up Termagants,
Yeah.
then yeah, they go for a while.
There's some combos here for sure.
Yeah.
We got Alpha Strike Devilgaunts. This seems like probably the most fun one, in my opinion. You have a 20 man with all Devourers.
Yes.
That's cool. So that's 60 shots.
60 shots.
Wow. 60 shots with, there's some extra bonuses and stuff.
Yeah,
you
there
do with
can
that
be.
For sure.
Yep.
And you deep strike them via the Trigon Tunnel or with a Lictor.
The Lictor, the Pheromone Trail Stratagem.
Right.
Yep.
And then also in a pod.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of pods
They're
now.
because you can do the same thing you can do with a 37-point Lictor. You could do with a 90-point pod.
And the Lictor is better
Because the Lictor could go do his own thing.
He can do, yeah.
Because the Lictor
objectives.
could pop in, he could do Retrieve Octarius data, while the Gaunts do all the damage.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
true. Tyrannocyte's just a bunch of guns.
Just a bunch of guns that won't do too much.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the Trigon's fine too, but the Trigon wants to get in combat, and he can't do that when he's surrounded by Gaunts. But it's an option.
Right. Yeah. So 3 solid options, I think, for
Absolutely,
Termagants.
yeah.
What I think are the best Gaunt might be controversial, but
Yeah.
Termagant.
And then also, don't be afraid to mix your options. I like doing the 30-man blocks and having 10 of them with Devourers. That way I have a big 20 buffer with a Termagant to keep 10 Devourers front line doing the damage and shooting.
Yep.
And then the 20 can just be recycled because a Termagant cannot respawn a Devourer.
Right.
Only a Flesh Borer.
And even without a Termagant, as far as that, what you just described goes, 30 man with 10 Devourers. As somebody who plays a lot of elite armies, it is tough to target that squad because you know you're just going to be killing Flesh Borers for 20 wounds.
Yeah.
So it kind of keeps the Devourers safe.
And the 10 Gaunts can do more shots than the 20 Gaunts can do. So
you have 20 Gaunts of essentially meat shield.
For the 10, yeah.
And 10 guys just pumping out shots.
Exactly. So now let's go to Hormagaunts, if you want to start off with these guys.
Yeah, the first way to play them is essentially the exact same as the Termagants.
Pretty much.
Their objectives, they don't have guns, obviously, but as far as this way to play them, it's almost the exact same.
It's the same thing. They can screen your key units. They
Actions.
The only thing is just they're faster. So it's do you envision them going up to the middle or moving around a lot, or do you really just want a wall? If you just want a wall, save the 10 points and buy the Termagants.
Termagants.
If you want some speed, then pay for the Hormagaunts.
Yeah.
You can also do big hordes with these guys as well. 20 to 30 models. Again, mass objectives. All the Gaunts have the same kind of role.
Yeah.
So you want the mass objective. It's just these ones can be more dangerous in close combat. So if you want to play for the mid objective where there's going to be close combat, these guys might be a little bit better than the Termagant. You can pair them with stratagems and, well, as we have here in the custom Hive Fleet, to make them more dangerous. So the custom Hive Fleet, if you really want to turn Hormagaunts up, Pack Hunters, if they outnumber them, you gain an AP. Biometallic Cyst gives them a natural AP -1.
Okay.
And then there are some other stratagems you can do in another video that I did cover to give your Hormagaunts up to AP -4.
It's crazy. And I mean, if you get a big squad to charge with AP minus, even if it's just AP -2, you have a lot of attacks.
That's a lot of attacks.
It's a lot of attacks, and it's decent AP.
It makes it feel better because when you're playing standard Hormagaunts, you got a lot of attacks. They don't wound very well against Space Marines, and
most things.
Most things. And then when they do wound, your opponent just shrugs them off like they're nothing.
With a little AP though.
A little AP. Now you are starting to chunk through more and more. And when you get them up to AP -4, now every wound that goes through is a wound done.
Yeah. Against almost everything.
So this one's got potential. I've seen it. It's not going to make top tier tournaments, but when you bring 60 Hormagaunts with this and then you pair them with everything else, it could be a lot of fun.
I have a feeling you'll see it probably in some of our 1500 battle reports coming up.
I'd like to use it, absolutely.
Finally, we have Gargoyles.
Gargoyles.
And I think 2 ways to play with these.
Yep.
They're a little less versatile.
Yeah, they do lose because they lose objective secured.
Yes.
They do lose some of their abilities.
That is extremely important to mention, actually. I forgot about that.
Yes.
So for the first wave we have, same as the other two. 10-man, they can do actions. Well, I guess not the same though, because they don't have objective secured.
They don't have objective secured, so they're not going to be... I mean, they can still take your middle objectives, but it's going to be... If they go up against another objective secured, they're going to lose out.
Yeah.
And they can... I mean, they still die easily. But because of that built-in deep strike, if you're playing more an elite army who is more centered toward the middle, they can deep strike in the corners and do actions like that.
That's true.
I still think a lictor is better for that job.
Yeah. But if you're running, let's say, Gaunt Swarm, this could be good for your opponent's backfield.
Yeah. Still a way to play them.
Yeah.
Then the big hordes.
Yeah.
You can do 20 to 30 models again. I think if you really want to do this, you do full 30.
Yes.
One block of 30 and have fun with them. So they can take middle objectives, but I like to do them move blocking. So you pair them with the Swarm Lord and you get, that double advance off and you move them on average 31 inches in one turn. You can't shoot with them. You can't charge with them unless you get onslaught off, but in that case you don't even want to charge with them.
I was gonna say, let's be honest, if you're doing this, the move blocking, you don't really want to be charging.
If you go first, you can basically make a line in front of your opponent's army and say, you don't get a turn 1 movement phase.
You must kill them.
Yeah.
Wow, that is super. How does it get to 31-inch movement on average?
12 inches
for movement.
Plus D6 for advance.
Sure.
Swarm Lord goes 12 inches.
Yeah.
Plus a D6 for advance. Now, technically, I believe the rules is written. You have to use the same D6 value you did in the move. No, that's different. That's if you use Metabolic Overdrive, you have to keep the same, but because it's a different phase, it's 2 different dice. So 31 inches.
I mean, that's crazy.
On average.
You can definitely do some crazy stuff with that.
And then, I mean, if you really want, put Feel No Pain on them and just make them that little bit more annoying to deal with.
I mean, again, if you're fighting guard, that could be devastating to them.
A wall.
With Feel No Pain,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think maybe mention one more thing. There's that weird stratagem you have with something in the air, something on the ground. When they're in combat.
Yeah, the Leviathan stratagem.
Yes.
War on all fronts.
Yes.
Gargoyles are one of the fewer flying units that can take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So that could work out too.
That's just an extra thing.
Pairing it with that picture right there.
Yeah, true.
Well, no, actually, because one has to be on grounded.
If you use on
None
the
of
ground.
them are.
Yeah.
That picture goes back to a rule in 7th edition where if you took a flying hive tyrant, you could take a unit of gargoyles as troop choices.
What?
Back when 7th just was really crazy and they just threw rules out the window and balance out the window.
Oh, that was like the Korean detachment time. Yeah, that was out of control.
When 7th edition was out of control.
The whole game was out of control.
Which is why they needed 8th edition.
Yeah.
But that was just a marketing ploy on the new... Anyway, that was a thing you could do. I wish you could do that in the new codex. Some way to bring...
That'd be
Gargoyles as objective secure?
Just for Gargoyles, I'd be cool with that. Because that wouldn't be that overpowered.
Which, that'll lead us into the conclusion.
Yes.
Termagants and Hormagaunts, great potential.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they basically do what they're supposed to do. The only thing that I would say bugs me a little bit is that the Hormagaunts being strength 3, I'll admit I'm stuck in my ways of old codexes.
You were slightly jaded from the old ways.
Old codex toxin sacks were not double damage. It was always wound non-vehicles on 4+.
Which made them
insane because you went up against big. I mean, Eldar was the biggest thing. You went up against those toughness 7, toughness 8 knights, and your little guys just chopped them down to pieces.
They would do actual wounds.
I'm stuck in that because that's when I learned and loved Hormagaunts.
Yeah.
They were so good.
Yeah.
Now they're different. I mean, you can still make them worth the AP, but they're not the same.
But I do think in general
they're great.
Termagants though.
I mean, it's tough. It depends on your list.
Yeah.
What you need in your list, because maybe you don't need speed, and maybe you do need speed.
Yeah, that's fair.
They both have great.
Yeah.
Termagants can be the best. I mean, a big block of Devil Gaunts, it's hard for Hormagaunts to match that kind of shooting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Hormagaunts are much more pure objective with the tailored towards. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
Gargoyles, I love them, but at 7 points a model, I think they're too expensive. I think you're basically losing OBSEC for twice the speed.
And let's be honest, you generally, if you're trying to be at least slightly competitive, probably just use Hormagaunts because they're faster than Termagants and they have objective secure.
Not as fast. They're
still pretty fast though.
Yeah. I wish Gargoyles were better. I only have 10 of them, so I can't truly use them to their full potential. It's something I want to work on as the 9th edition Codex comes around. I want to flush out my fast attack with more Gargoyles and Raveners because that's all I'm missing really.
I'm hoping when the Codex comes out, they will give little buffs to Gargoyles and Raveners because they are super cool.
They need it.
Fluff-wise units, but they're not good right now.
So all options are fun. I would love to see, and maybe you'll see it, some list where you've got 60 of each of them on the table.
Terrifying. You need to warn your opponent before you do that because that would be mean. Yeah.
I have the models to do it. Not for the Gargoyles.
Yeah.
I have the models to do it with the Hormagaunts and with the Termagants. I can actually run over 100 Termagants, I think I've eclipsed now.
That's frightening.
Which, in the grand scheme of what some people have, is not a lot, but I think it's plenty.
Seemed quite funny to me, yeah.
So that's it on the Gaunts. Do you guys have any other tips, strategies, tactics that you like to use your Gaunts that you didn't cover? What's your favorite Gaunt? Is it the Gargoyle, or is it the Hormagaunt, or as Connor says, he thinks his is the Termagant? Let us know in the comments, and give us other options of some of these deep dives you'd like us to cover.
Please.
We are coming up, I'm knocking on wood, well this isn't wood, cardboard is wood, that the Tyranid Codex is coming out by the end of the year. So with the Grey Knight Codex coming out soon, we're going to be covering that heavily, still touching on Tyranids.
Yes.
But let us know what are the things we should cover right before the new Codex. And maybe we'll stop with the deep dives and we'll start getting into what's coming out on 9th, maybe some wish list videos and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah. With that being said, thank you guys for watching and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.